Oh, hello and welcome to What Are We Talking About with Jamie Jakes. I am him, and today we're going to do 5 guys Paxton Bailey can't stop drafting. So if you don't know what we're talking about best ball fantasy football, a format where you just draft them and then you set that lineup and the season plays out and whoever's got the best team wins at the end. It's an 18-man roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a flex, and a tight end, half PPR.
12-team league, 18-man roster. Yeah, yes. I combine those two.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Paxton, I'll let you lead it off.
So, I've been getting a lot of, drafting at, number 6.
Okay.
And at that point, that's that first little lull of random where you could kind of take anything.
Yep.
And you're at kind of your best bet. But at this point, when it's, because it's Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and
AJ Brown, Puka
Nacua, Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not opposed to going Jahmyr Gibbs at that point early, but I'd much rather have someone in Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay,
that's a better pick in my opinion than going Jamar Chase because he's got a lot of possibility on where his season could go, where his season could end up, and then with Jahmyr Gibbs, that's a little early for a running back. That's not Christian McCaffrey in this season alone.
Yep. 3 wide receiver for these drafts. I'm with you. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. The only problem is the Lions use him in the slot a lot, and they're going to continue using him. If he ever got the opportunity to just play X or play Z, be the motion guy permanently, he would be so good. But he's just not the role that he's got. He's got a lower average at the target, which keeps his ceiling a little bit lower. So I get why people are drafting him after a few of the guys we already mentioned.
But he's got such breakaway ability.
He's great. He's crazy. He's so good.
And he's just fueled by anger. Just constantly reading who is drafted above him. And that's my guy.
You definitely learned that about him in receiver, including Jamar Chase was in this. We just talked about in the last podcast.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase was in that draft class, and he's pissed that Jamar Chase was drafted ahead of him, and he might be right.
He might be right. Yeah. There's a couple times where I've bit on the bullet of risk with Jamar Chase, and every time I do it, I'm like, I hate it. I hate my first round already.
How your lineup looks with Jamar Chase at the top of it. You really do. I don't know. It's definitely our podcast thing. Other people are more excited about Jamar Chase, but
yeah,
in my opinion, if I always put it this way, if Puka Nacua went to LSU and was named Jamar Chase, he'd be going in that spot right now.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the rookie seasons those two guys had. And Puka Nacua now, Chase, ever since then, perpetually been top 3 in every ADP. And Puka Nacua, for whatever reasons, in the back end.
Right.
Because his name's Puka Nacua, he went to BYU. Let's be real. So, yeah. Let me ask you this. I'll press you on this. Then you can give us our second guy. If you have Justin Jefferson available and Amon-Ra St. Brown available, who are you taking?
That one's tough.
It's tough, right?
Because I am a definite believer in Jettas. He is the guy. He's a generational talent. But we were talking about earlier, it takes a real generational talent to still drag a poop quarterback back from being poop.
Yeah.
And Garrett Wilson did it, but he still only got 1,100 yards.
Garrett Wilson's never really panned out on his. Well, I guess his rookie year he panned out on his draft position, despite having a shitty quarterback. He still got 1,000 yards for goodness sakes, 4 touchdowns I think. And yeah, last year definitely was a bust in terms of ADP, but you can't blame him for that because that ADP had Aaron freaking Rodgers. Yeah, it was 17 games of Aaron Rodgers, not 4 snaps of Aaron Rodgers was built into that ADP.
Yeah, and honestly, I like Sam Darnold, not as any starting quarterback or anything.
Good for Justin Jefferson. Just historically, having a rookie quarterback can really hamper your receivers. But Sam Darnold, say what you want about him. He's a veteran quarterback. He
can get it done.
I think it's with Justin Jefferson. I mean, let's be honest. We saw what Kirk Cousins could do with Justin Jefferson. So why couldn't we also saw in a small sample size at the end of the season, terrible quarterbacks, and Justin Jefferson was still wide receiver 3, including an outlier game, a 0-3 game where he barely even played.
You weren't about to say Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins are on the same level, were you?
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying it might look a little bit similar, more similar than you might think with what they got running over there.
Okay.
With what they got running over there. Let's move on to your second one. Great conversation with the first pick.
So another one is You taught me this, and I'm now definitely a steadfast believer, and especially with half point PPR.
Yeah.
Because when I started fantasy, I was in no PPR.
Yeah.
It was just reception based. So it's
called standard.
Yeah. Thank you. Standard. And so I had to retrain myself because everyone else plays it correctly.
Yeah.
And so I like going when I can 3 stellar wide receivers right off the jump.
Yep.
And then in the 4th round, early 4th round, sometimes mid, you can get K9, a ground and pound runner, heavy runner. And you got to kind of accept that Zach Charbonnet might be the pass catching back, but it's not going to be as frequent. They're still going to throw passes to K9, but he is going to run it down the throat.
Yep.
And that guy just runs angry. He's no Isaiah Pacheco. He doesn't run with rage, but he runs hard and downhill.
Yep. I've got a pretty good share in Kenneth Walker too. The only reason it's not higher is because there's a lot of guys in that range that I really like. There's a lot of really good like wide receivers in that range that I really like. So if I do go like hero RB early on, but I love Kenneth Walker so much. I still consider it a hero RB build when I have him as my first one.
Yeah. And even snagging him early 4, late 3, if you just want to snag him. But
he was such a stud. People forget he was like on the same tier as Breece Hall was. Maybe that offense just looks way better now that Pete Carroll's gone. It's like an offense from this century, maybe. He's all camp reports, not surprising, is that he's just incredible. He's a dude. He's got that explosive speed too, which in best ball is so valuable because whenever he cranks off that, 200-yard game, 3 touchdown game, like, you're winning.
Every time I have a running back that got a 60-yard breakaway touchdown and then just had a regular game, they were on my bench.
Yep.
That's what I love about best ball now.
Best ball rules.
Oh God, that's great.
Yeah. I love Kenneth Walker. I love the situation he's in. I think it's only going to improve for him, and just where you're getting him when you can stack a build full of solid wide receivers and then get a guy like Kenneth Walker. You did bring up the only critique about him is his receiving game, but in my opinion,
he's not a bad receiving back either. He's just got Zach Charbonnet.
He doesn't get the volume. He's never going to get the volume in the receiving. He didn't get it in college. It's pretty clear he's probably not going to get it. Maybe we'll see a little bit more of it now that it's an offense from the century, like we said. But I think Kenneth Walker is a guy that can kind of transcend that PPR like kind of necessity with on a tier close to guys like Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry, just a diet version of that, which is what that's the cost you're paying for it in the 4th, 5th round.
And as morbid as it sounds, I like to predict injuries when they're going to happen because they're going to happen. They're always happen. It's a part of the game. Geno Smith is old. Sam Howell is the backup. They're going to, if that happens, they're going to feed the rock a lot to K9.
Yeah.
So I'm not praying that happens, but if it does, it's only good for me.
It's a volume option for sure. So that's number 2. Who you got for number 3?
For number 3, they're going in the same place as this guy and the next guy, but Zamir White early. He's a young guy out of the Raiders system. We're both really out on Josh Jacobs. I was never a huge fan because not Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, he was there and for Las Vegas last year,
but Aaron Jones.
Alexander Madison's there now.
Alexander Madison is there. Aaron Jones is in Minnesota. What is Alexander Madison going to do? It's Zamir White who's going to be taking the brunt of that.
And that's all the reports out of camp. They're talking so glowingly about him. He's going to get the volume.
And you can get him late round 5.
The problem with him is I've been in and out. And I think I'm back. I'm definitely back in on Zamir White at his cost at the moment. Guys that are going after him that I really like as well would include Zach Moss and who else goes right after him? Raheem Mostert goes right after him. So that's a running back range for like those 0 RB or the hero RB builds,
right?
Where I'm just like, as my number 2 back, I love having any one of those guys. He's the number 1 on the list of those guys in terms of ADP. So he's a little bit more expensive than the other guys. But if you can get someone to fall to you, that's pretty awesome. The only downside with Zamir White is because the volume seems like it's going to be there.
Right.
He's, he's still young enough to be a bell cow. He's got the size. He's got everything for it. The real downside is just that offense might be bad.
Yeah.
So, but that's not great. But he could, like you said, half PPR his way. We saw him produce at the end of last year. That's a very recent small sample size, and he's going to get the opportunity. So why not take him that late?
Even with bad football teams have to run the football.
Yeah. I think it's a great pick. It's a guy I soured on mostly because I just had so much in him. I had like 20.
Right.
I had him up to 25%. I'm like, it's a little bit more than I'd like to have in Zamir White, knowing all the other factors. It is risky, but
he's a good deal.
It's cheap enough. So it's like
he's the Costco of running backs right now.
He is wholesale. Like he's going to get the job done. It might fill up your cabinets a little bit more than you'd like, but he's going to be, I think, a solid pick for you.
Right. And kind of in the same vein, around the same time, mid-6th. Be your fourth guy, or if you're not
No, I'm saying this is your fourth guy you're setting up right now?
Yes, this is my fourth guy. He should be a great third guy, especially if you go wide receiver heavy and then into your quarterbacks and even tight ends. David Montgomery is going mid to late round 6. And what do we always say on this channel? But he's a part of a dual-headed 1,000-yard backfield.
Yeah.
He's got what's his contract with the Lions?
Oh, he's there for
2-3
at
more
least
years?
another 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it's I think he's got like 3 years left on his contract, but it's one of those things where like that last year isn't like real.
And to be honest, that's just in Detroit. That's not out of the league. Well, he's not done.
No, he's got a lot of tread on that tire. I think he's 26, 27 years old. He's going to be the backup, sort of, maybe the 1B.
Right.
Or he will be the 1B to Jahmyr Gibbs in this offense, but he's a bigger guy. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs goes down. Gibbs goes down. You're winning the fantasy football league.
Right.
So he's a really, really high floor guy for where you're getting him, in that he will get snaps. He will get opportunities. He'll get a lot of touchdowns this year for that Lions offense. Number 1 offensive line in the whole damn league. And all same offensive coordinator, same everything. It's just Jahmyr Gibbs knows how to run in this offense now.
I keep saying the complimentary thing to it, but if you're a wide receiver and you have another good wide receiver on the other side of you, you're going to have more opportunities as a good wide receiver.
Yeah.
Same thing in the backfield. Same thing in just a system as a whole. They've got a good quarterback, great wide receiver core, and 2 good running backs.
Yep.
So they're going to be fresh.
Yep.
At all times.
And I mean, I think it's a great pick, because the sky's the limit. When a potential league winner, Jahmyr Gibbs goes down, potential league winner, and still a guy that will produce for you.
He is more ground and pound too, but he's also the touchdown hawk in 5 yards.
I will say for hero RB, I like taking him there. For zero RB, I don't. And the only reason for that is because Alvin Kamara goes right next to him.
That is
so
true.
If he's my first running back that I'm taking Alvin Kamara. I'm taking Alvin Kamara because I think he's got a higher floor than David Montgomery. I think he's just going to be a half PPR, he's just going to be a half PPR machine again this year.
Right.
Where David Montgomery needs that injury to have that kind of high end season.
Yeah.
So that's the only caveat I have between those two, but I love that one, which brings us to your last one.
I always end up with Jermaine Burton, who has great record and pull out of camp right now.
Yeah.
And Higgins is gone and Boyd is gone and Jamar is frackish right now, I'll say, with him.
Hold in. Especially in best ball, having a high-powered offensive guy, offensive weapon, young guy, so sky's the limit. We don't know how good he's going to be. But yeah, guys in the last round like Jermaine Burton. I would also say, especially if Ayuk leaves, Jacob Cowing, I think could be a really, really good value right there.
In the same vein, I had Juwan Jennings in the same kind of line before.
Yeah, we'll see how that pans out. But and then Johnny Wilson.
Okay.
Johnny Wilson is going to be a rookie 6th-round pick. But he's on the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's probably just going to be the number 3 there. I loved him. Fell in the draft. Tall guy. Was 6'6" at the combine, which is like 6'7" in real life, because they smush you.
Yeah.
They try to get you as short as possible in the combine. I just loved everything I saw out of Florida State. His yards per route run is insane.
Right.
His production at Florida State was fine as well. A guy who I think fell way too far. People are sleeping on him. And the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, were probably kind of surprised by the guy that they got over there. In Johnny Wilson. So that's another pick. I would also say Lazard for the Jets if you're really, really hurting for somebody.
Another one is Jelani Woods for tight end if you're really needing help there.
Yep.
Now that he's got a quarterback that can get it to him and also be mobile as well. That's an offense that always uses a good mobile tight end that's just big bodied. They love to just throw it up and see if he can jump and get it.
Yep. There's a lot of late round I'd say Dawson Knox would be in that category as well. But yeah, I just talked to I just talked to Miles about it. We're gonna do like a late round, got like 12th to 18th round guide for people to kind of tell you like, hey, these guys that you may not be super familiar with, we're gonna tell you who to pick. We're gonna tell you who's not worth the pick.
It's also where it gets fun again in the draft, because there's that it's like round 7 to round 11 where it's just boring again, because you're like, I don't want any of you people. And then
those middle rounds suck. I like round 13, 14, 15. I'm like, I just like all these guys in round 17 and 18 way more than these guys.
Yeah, but I can't go get one of those guys right now.
Against the process. Every once in a while, if I really have like a positional need, like a 0 RB build, I'll reach down and like get like a Braylon Allen with my like 15th or 16th pick. But that's pretty rare. I don't need to do that.
He's going to be hot when he gets it, but you know, Breece Hall is going to be on the field 75%
of the time.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Watch Dingbat District on YouTube. It's a comedy podcast. I've been on it a couple times. Fantastic episodes.
Nothing, no formatting, no features or anything like that. We just come back and talk shit.
Very unstructured. You can follow him at Dingbat District on the socials. Anything else to tell the audience?
Just watch the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, and watch the clips that we post almost every day, and new episodes come out every Tuesday.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Mr. Paxton Bailey. My name's Jamie Jakes. Please leave a like. Tell me what you think about Paxton's picks. Subscribe to the channel. Share with a friend. We'll see you next time.